Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohtar Rasyid. I am lecturer in the Department of Economics, Faculty of Economic and Business, University Tanjung Madura, Indonesia. Today, I want to present my paper called Optimal Price Level under Slowing Economic Performance using Simple Growth Inflation Threshold Models. I collaborate with my team in writing this paper. Mrs. Anita Christina from Toronto University and Mrs. Putu Ayu Pramita from Guyana University. I'm divide this presentation into four sections. Section 1 is introduction. Section 2 about basic method of inflation excess. Section 3 I will show you about result and discussion. And finally, Section 4 I present some conclusion remark. Inflation is one of the key indicators in shaping economic growth. In line with this spirit, Bank Indonesia has set the Interest Targeting Framework or ITF as the main target of monetary policy. Various studies of the ITF have been conducted in several countries, including Indonesia. The key question is to what level inflation will support economic growth. If not done carefully, the policy to suppress price in such a way will actually be counterproductive. Consequently, allowing inflation to run will be disastrous for the economy. As a macroeconomic indicator that is most easily read by the general public, inflation indicators are often a measure of the success of development program. Almost every day, the issues of prices inflations are used as raw material to be used as discussion of the success of development. Some key commodities such as basic necessity, foreign exchange rates are often considered not only by economists but also by laymen. As soon as the first basic needs rises, the analysis about the nominal effect causes will be reached immediately. The performance controlling economic stability with the main inflation variable has actually been quite successful in the last few years. The realization of the inflation target may not have this 7% of according with the internal target. However, overall the results are in cost. In other words, effort to achieve economic stability have been quite good lately. Success in maintaining stability has not necessarily resulted in sonic economic growth. This condition then triggers a critical set of questions. To what level can inflation rate be targeted so that economic growth can be further optimized? This question is important to be asked to provide an economic policy foundation that consistently support the main development goals. A number of studies of the relationship inflation with economic growth have been carried out in various countries. The analysis model used are diverse, ranging from simple linear model to complex nonlinear model. One modeling approach that is currently being developed is threshold regression model that developed with various variables. The threshold regression model is easy to use as an analysis tool. Firstly, this model does not need to force that a linear or quadratic relationship must occur, but it can hold some linear and some not. Secondly, in this estimation, this model is relatively easy to apply and interpret because it is derived from simple regression models. Thirdly, this model is suitable for answering several things that occur at points that are difficult to observe. However, the relationship between inflation and economic growth basically does not linear. As a consequence of the complexity economic activity, inflation becomes inevitable. In a relatively mild intensity, inflation can actually encourage economic growth, or at least the inflation did not affect growth at all. However, to a certain degree, inflation becomes very painful. The basic question is to be answered: to what level can inflation be said to be harmful to the economy? The study used quantitative approach with data from Central Statistics Agency and Bank Indonesia. The main data in the study is development of inflation based on the adjusted consumer price index. Furthermore, economic growth data using data GDP or gross domestic product at constant prices. Other control variables used in the population and expansion data both of which are proxies of labor and capital as means of economic growth in accordance with growth economics theory. Basic models show the quadratic relationship between economic growth and inflation. In this case, the critical coefficient evaluated helped by square inflation. If this coefficient is significant, then the nonlinear hypothesis between economic growth and inflation can be proven. Turning point from this model can be used as estimation of the inflation threshold that is great shifts effect on economic growth. Basic model assume that the nonlinear relationship pattern between economic growth and inflation is quadratic. This assumption is too simplistic. Therefore, as an alternative analysis model, the study also uses a threshold regression approach that accommodates change in the regression slope in consistent analysis model. The model is known as threshold regression model. The regression second model is required an inflation threshold as a priori information. Because this information was not obtained directly, manual threshold value was simulated in such a way as to obtain the most reliable regression estimation values and meet the best model test criteria according to statistical rules. In this case of Indonesia, a feasible threshold starts with a rate 3% to 10%. For each threshold value, a regression test is performed. Then a statistical evaluation is performed to determine the best regression model estimations. Threshold regression model is basically a modification of the linear regression models by expanding the possibility of the breaking point at value at certain independent variables. This concept may be analogous to a turning point in the quadratic models, but the breaking point is that the threshold model still uses the linear regression model framework in variables. After the best model is determined, the next step is to interpret the result of the statistical data processing by comparing the actual data. The estimation result of the basic inflation growth model using macroeconomic data in USA can be considered as follows. The estimation result of the basic model, as presented in this table, can be explained as follows. The first column shows that basic linear model that link inflation with economic growth. The calculation results show that on average, an increase in inflation of 1% will reduce economic growth by 0.2%. The linear model confirms premises. Whatever the level of inflation, economic growth must be eroded. Column 2 gives somewhat different results. Inflation has no linear relationship with economic growth. The interpretation of the estimation model can get distinct the significance of the square inflation coefficient as well as the sign of the coefficient. The coefficient of square inflation turns out to be very significant or negative. They show that the relationship of inflation and economic growth is inverted U. When inflation is still low, inflation has a positive relationship with economic growth. Up to a certain point, this positive relationship has turned negative. Threshold model estimation by using a simulation of inflation threshold values from the range of 3% to 9% can be considered in the following tables. The results show that up to range 3% to 9%, the threshold model provides relatively good estimation performance models. The higher of inflation limit specified, the less the coefficient of inflation. This result indicates that the higher threshold inflation result is evaluated, the less positive effect of inflation on growth. To enforce the allowed the threshold for inflation, the analysis model is extended to include the threshold simulation value at the 7% to 10%. The estimation result as the follow. The calculation results show that the higher the threshold level tested, the less significant the inflation second that has a positive on growth up to threshold level of 7%. The positive inflation coefficient is a significant of up to 1%. When the threshold is raised to 8%, the significant only 10%. Once the threshold is raised to 9% to 10%, then positive inflation sequence is no longer significant. At the threshold level of 8% to 10%, the effect inflation is getting closer to linear model, namely increasing inflation of 1% actually worsen economic growth by 0.2%. The basic linear and quadratic model provide extreme answer. The linear model concluded that each level of inflation on average will reduce economic growth. In contrast, the quadratic model gives a somewhat different answer. Inflation is very dangerous if it is reached a level of around percent per year. At a lower level inflation, the relationship of inflation versus economic growth is unidirectional. Rasyid model provides a more deliberate alternative answer. Inflation relatively safe for economic growth if economic level has not exceeded by 9% level. However, such an inflation rate is still counterproductive to growth. Threshold model estimations show that at threshold level inflation makes a positive contribution to economic growth, whereas inflation tends to have no effect and tend to be negative. The actual findings is consistently offer more or less the same suggestion. Inflation must be controlled. Controlling inflation does not mean having to eliminate inflation at the level of 0%, because this is quite impossible to achieve. But inflation level that is still conductive. If inflation control is directed to reverse economic growth, then inflation rate of the 3% seems appropriate to be targeted. Okay, this is all my presentation. Thank you for your attention.